Welcome to What's That About podcast, investigative journalism on trending topics with an urban perspective. We also cover some topics that aren't trending if they need to be addressed. Today, we are talking about Roe vs. Wade, the overturning. Why now? Stay tuned to find out, and be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And remember, I'm not only your host, I'm also your brother. I am Brother Nice. So today we are talking about Roe versus Wade, the overturning. Now have a seat, because I promise you, I'm going to say some things in this video that you probably haven't heard about this case. I'm also going to say some things about Planned Parenthood that I'm pretty sure you didn't know. So Roe versus Wade, what is it? For anyone who doesn't know what Roe versus Wade was, it was a landmark court case that made abortion legal here in America in all states. Now this happened, I believe, January 22nd of 1973. Fast forward almost 50 years to June 24th of 2022, and they go back and reverse the decision and make abortion illegal again. Now, it's not illegal in all states, but it's illegal in a lot of states. And you have to ask yourself, what made them go back and reverse this decision? We're going to talk about that later in the video. But let's talk about the case itself. The actual name of the case wasn't Roe versus Wade, it was Jane Roe versus Henry Wade. Now, from research, we know that Henry Wade was a district attorney in Dallas. But who was Jane Roe? Well, actually, Jane Roe was nobody, because she didn't even exist. That was her alias. Her real name was Norma McGarvey. In 1969, at the age of 21, McGarvey became pregnant for a third time. She returned to Dallas, Texas, and tried to get an abortion. But she could not get an abortion because in 1969, abortion was illegal in the state of Texas unless the woman's health was at risk. And this was not McGarvey's situation. Now, her story is she got with a group of her friends and they convinced her to come up with the story that she had been raped by a group of black men. Now, allow me to digress just for a second. White women have been falsely accusing black men, getting them killed and imprisoned since the days of Emmett Till. So when you hear the term Karen, just know that Karens aren't new. They've been around. But today, only difference is we have a term to identify them by. Now let me get back to topic. Now, the story that Norma McGarvey, or Jane Roe, whatever you want to call her, the story that she made up about being raped by a group of black men had no substance or evidence behind it, so it wasn't believed. And thank God. But who knows how many black men might have been harmed behind the lie that she told. But that's another story. So being that Norma McGarvey was denied the abortion that she wanted, someone recommended her to two attorneys by the name of Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey. These are the two attorneys that fought a 3-year trial to get abortion legalized. Now, being that the case took 3 years, Norma McGarvey ended up giving birth to the child that she wanted to abort, and she then later put it up for adoption. She also later admitted that she made up the whole story about being raped by black men because she wanted to get an abortion. And when they asked her why did she want to get an abortion, she said because she felt that she was unemployable and depressed. Now, let's ask ourselves, what would make them go back and change the ruling on abortion? Well, I have a theory, but it's not my theory. A white man came up with this theory. It's called the Great Replacement Theory. Now, I don't watch Fox News, but if you watch Fox News, you know Tucker Carlson always talks about this Great Replacement Theory. White people feel like they are being replaced by minorities here in this country. And they might be right. They said that there's a projection by the year of 2045 that white people will become the minority in America. So maybe some white people looked at the abortion laws and said, yo, we got to change this. We have to keep our population growing. Once again, it's just a theory, but it is called the Great Replacement Theory. Now let's talk about Planned Parenthood. Now, being from Brooklyn, I thought I knew everything that there was to know about Brooklyn until I did research for this video. Guess where the very first Planned Parenthood was started at? Yep, right here in Brooklyn. In 1916, in Brownsville, Brooklyn, the very first Planned Parenthood was started by Margaret Sanger, who was a racist. And if you ask me why was she a racist, I'll give you those receipts in a minute, but for now, let's just focus on Planned Parenthood. Now, out of all the abortion clinics here in America, guess what clinic probably does the most abortions? I would have to say Planned Parenthood. Now, I was always told that Planned Parenthoods were only in black communities and that this wasn't by mistake, that it was by design, that they were put there to control the black population. Now, I don't know if this is true, but Dr. Ben Carson, who's a neurosurgeon, believes it's absolutely true. He did an interview with Fox News saying that there's also undercover video of Planned Parenthood selling aborted fetuses. Now, I always wondered, what do abortion clinics do with the aborted fetuses? So I did my own research and I still found no definite answer. However, some people believe that these aborted fetuses are sold for stem cell research and other purposes. Is that true? I'm not for sure, but I definitely couldn't find an answer. Now, let's talk about Margaret Sanger and why I say she's a racist. The first receipt is she believed in and promoted eugenics. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what eugenics is, don't feel bad because I didn't know either before I started to do research for this video. Now, here's the definition of eugenics. You can pause it if you want to go back and read the whole thing, no worries. But let me give you a shorter version. Eugenics is basically the mindset or the thought of that only certain groups of people should be able to reproduce. It is also said that the Nazis used eugenics to justify their treatment of the Jews. Now, my second receipt of Margaret Sanger and why I say she's a racist is because in her own autobiography, she talks about how she once spoke to a group of Ku Klux Klan members and advocated for eugenics. And these are her words. They should use eugenics for the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extinction of defective stocks, those human weeds that threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization. My last receipt is that the Planned Parenthood of Greater New York removed Margaret Sanger's name from their Manhattan Health Clinic because they found out that she was a racist. Now let's talk about abortion in itself. Abortions have been taking place since the beginning of time. If you go back and read and do research, there are women who drunk herbs and tonics to have miscarriages. There's women who had people put pressure on their stomach to have a miscarriage. Some women have thrown themselves down a flight of steps to have a miscarriage. My point for saying this is that if a woman gets pregnant and she does not want to have that child, she is going to find a way to not have that child. So why not give her a safer alternative? Also, I do believe women should be able to do whatever they want with their bodies. I don't have an issue with that. My issue is with the women who use abortion as birth control. Some women are on their third or fourth abortion. If you're on your third or fourth abortion, you are out of line. If no one has told you, let me be the first to tell you, you are out of line. After you got pregnant the first time, you should know that you can get pregnant and you should do some things different. If you slipped up and did it a second time, after the second time, you should have definitely learned that you have to do some things different. You should not be on your third or fourth abortion. Once again, if that is your situation, you are out of line. Now, fellas, we have to take some responsibility in this too, because a woman cannot get pregnant by herself. It takes two. So if you're not ready to have a child, you should be using protection. And even if the woman tells you she's on birth control pills, still use protection, because some women will tell you that they're on a pill and they're not taking it. And when that woman gets pregnant, and if you didn't want it, now you're trying to talk her into having an abortion. And fellas, if you get a woman pregnant, you have no right to try to force her to have an abortion. When you had sex with her, you knew that it was a chance that she could get pregnant. So whatever decision she makes after getting pregnant, you're going to have to live with that decision. Now let's talk about birth control, because there are 12 different types of birth control. I didn't even know it was that many. I was only aware of the condom, the pill, and the shot. But there are 12 different forms of birth control. But let's talk about number 12 on that list, because I believe a lot of people like this method, and that is the withdrawal and pull out method. Now just know, ladies, if you do this method, there's a 27% chance that you can get pregnant. Don't think it can't happen just because a guy's pulling out. And fellas, I don't want you to think it can't happen just because you're pulling out. that woman can still get pregnant. Now, here's something else that most people aren't talking about with the reversal of this abortion law: the foster care system. The foster care system is already stressed out and overloaded. So if you tell a woman who got pregnant that she has to have the child, and she has the child and puts it in the foster care system, that makes the foster care system even more stressed out and overloaded. So that's something else that I think people aren't taking into consideration with the reversal of this law. People, sex is a great thing. Trust me, I know. But we have to be more responsible. Hey, I want to thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And remember, I'm not only your host, I'm also your brother. I am Brother Nice.